Hi there, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catherine. I make journals out of old books, and I have fun while I do it. I'm having a lot of fun. I've been working on Mrs Cratchit's prayer journal, and as I've been mentioning, I've been imagining that maybe she found this, maybe there was a discard box at the church that the wealthier patrons could put their used books in, and she found one and kept the pages that were special to her and discarded the ones that were maybe damaged or for whatever reason, and that she made a book. And then one of her daughters inherited it, and then maybe she made some changes, and then a granddaughter inherited it, and she made some changes, and that it just got passed down. And that can happen. I have several family Bibles that's exactly what happened, passed down from owner to owner, and each owner adds little things inside and adds family information. And so that's what I'm imagining as I've been working on this. If you're wondering about this is called don't be so enthusiastic with your thinning shears when you get it into your head that you just want to thin out the back of your hair a little bit. I have several different kinds of thinning shears from my years of working in a salon. And I have thick wavy hair, and I was using what my children call my ka-chunka scissors, because it literally will take out chunks of hair and make really cool. It thins it out really cool. Well, it tried to thin out my thumb today. I tried to thin out my thumb today. And it was one of those bizarre sensations where I felt it like I chomped full down, closed the scissors. Thank goodness they were thinning shears. If they had been my actual cutting shears, I would have taken the tip of my thumb right off. Instead, it was like a tooth, and it just went through and then came back out. And then I looked at it, and it was one of those cuts where it was there, and I thought, oh, well, maybe that's not so bad. And then all of a sudden it went, and anyhow, I won't go into any more detail. I know there are squeamish people. Dan would be throwing up by now, but he doesn't watch my videos, so I don't worry about that. Anyhow, so that's what that is. I thought it would feel worse, and I don't want to curse myself, but I did I think maybe I pushed on it like this fast enough that maybe I just glued it back down itself. Let's hope. Thank goodness I have a lot of those finger cots from, again, I used to buy them by the box from when I was cutting hair in the salon. My favorite cutting technique is point cutting. I find you get a much nicer haircut with point cutting. No matter what texture your hair, point cutting just gives, it's more forgiving. And anyhow, but you can end up, oh my goodness, I used to have cuts in between my knuckles, and it's my own fault because you're only supposed to cut to the second knuckle, but when you're like this, holding the hair up and going point cutting, yeah, you point cut in between your knuckles and other things. So anyhow, so in order to get my hair washed today and have a shower, thank goodness for finger cots, but I took it off just so that it can breathe. So you get to stare at that for today's video. I've been working on Mrs. Cratchit's prayer book off camera. I do find I get more done off camera, so I apologize, and I hope you don't mind when I take time like this to just do a walk and talk through a video and show you what I've done and do a little explanation how I did it or why I'm doing it. And then hopefully that's enough for you to be able to do it yourself if it's something that you enjoy. I want to find a way to incorporate this really beautiful brooch necklace that I got at some point, probably at the hospital auxiliary. They have the best prices for their jewelry, and that's actually a real petty point. So I'm not sure whether I want to take the chain off and actually put it on the spine. Since this is cloth, I think I can. Or else I thought I might run a ribbon this way around it to close it, and I could put it on that. Or I simply could find a sturdy page and pin it onto the page. There will be enough room because it is the because it's a soft spine. It's just fabric and a sheet of paper in there. Even though I did do hidden hollow back, it's still hidden hollow back. You could still put your finger in there if you wanted to. And I'm glad I did it that way. I put in a little thing. I imagined that Mrs. Cratchit might have put her name in it in case she left it, you know, on the pew, on the bench at church one Sunday, so that it could get returned to her. But I aged it, and it is removable, so if the new owner doesn't want that there, they can slide it out. But I wanted it to look old, so I purposefully left one corner kind of ripped off, and it says Mrs. R. Cratchit because that's how she would have referred to herself. And I looked up Camden Town in London to find a street, because they don't give the street, they don't give the address in A Christmas Carol of where the Cratchits lived. You just know they lived in Camden Town, which is where my family is from. My grandmother was born in Camden Town, so they were definitely very poor. So I looked around on a map of Camden Town, and there's actually a street in Camden Town called Carroll Street. So I imagined that the Cratchits lived on Carroll Street in Camden Town. So that's what I put there. And then again, I got these little angels from out of this book that I forget where I got this from, but it's a terrific little book with lots of nice pictures in it. And I got to use my Sizzix that I found on Virage sale last year. And I'm making really good use of this gold ink pad to do the gold around the edge, rather than using my beloved gilding wax that I love to inhale. And then a little doily behind it, again with a little hint of the gold ink around it. And I wanted to be able to leave Mrs. William Carr from Cookstown up there, and imagine maybe that is Mrs. Cratchit's granddaughter and that she somehow inherited it. So I've just been working on a few little things, adding in some little tuck spots here and there. I'm not sure what's going to go in them yet. This is from Player Piano Music Roll. So I thought it made a nice tab. And my rare, but I find at Christmas time necessary use of Tim Holtz Christmas ephemera. It's just beautiful. And this, I fully support using it for Christmas journals. I made this journaling card out of one of the pages of the actual text block because it said proper psalms on certain days, and it mentioned Christmas Day. So then I did a little collage here, again with the gold ink. And this actually, I made use, it was beside these little angels. The picture was rectangular, and it was off to the side. So, and because of one of these pokey outy things, there was a little bit of a pokey out that my oval from my Sizzix I just couldn't get it. I would have lost the whole little chapel. So I accepted that there was a little bite mark out of it, but I covered it up with some holly, again, from out of this book. There's lots of holly. Maybe that's the one that I stole right there. You never know. There's lots of holly in here, so I cut that out, and again did some gold around the edge. This is one of my movable tabs, and it's just tickets. And then Tim Holtz. I always want to say Tim Hortons. Can you tell I'm Canadian? This time of year, and I purposefully glued it so it's crooked, and that way the stocking is hanging in the proper direction. Now here's something I decided to do. I thought maybe Mrs. Cratchit, even with her turning it into a prayer book, it still started falling apart and needing repair by either a daughter or a granddaughter. And I imagined that maybe Mrs. Cratchit had been writing in her favorite scriptures that brought her comfort. So what I worked on yesterday was using my pen and ink and writing out scriptures that have to do with either the coming of Christ or that he's already there. Since although it's a prayer book, we're doing a little Christmas slant to it. So I decided maybe these were throughout her book, and in order to save her mother's writing, the daughter or granddaughter tore them and has put them back into the book so that they don't get lost in time. And then they also are, let's see, they are also, most of them are tuck spots. This bookmark, I'm not one to use scans, as you know, but some scans I give myself permission. I need to ink that one. I haven't inked it yet. This one's inked. Some scans I give myself permission because these were out of my great-great-grandmother's Bible. So they're very old. Her Bible, the oldest date in her Bible is 1826. So these were actually tucked in the Bible. Even that stain was a normal old stain. And even this was tucked in the Bible. It says Merry Christmas. So I scanned those, and I feel quite all right doing that because I feel like I'm sharing a little bit of my family with wherever these go. They're old. And so I'm going to be placing these at various spots in the book, or else tucking them in so that they could be journaled on in behind. And I used, you know, if her ink, you know, when nibs start getting worn out and they lose their tightness, that the line in between the well and then the line in between, when that starts getting too loose, that's when you can end up with blops and spills of ink. And that maybe, you know, she was trying to make do with a nib and couldn't afford a new nib, and then so she ended up with lots of splashes throughout. So these will be going in various places. This I created from a little old book that I have, this Hol Gems, and it's from 1923. Isn't that sweet? New Year's 1923. So that's out of, it's just a sweet little book that I, again, found on one of my thrifting hauls. And again, it's a tuck spot. So, and this black paper in behind is from the photo albums that we found last weekend. Here's another one that I put, a verse from Matthew. So again, it's a tuck spot. The little page from the Bible has the mentioning of chapter 2 in Matthew. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. So I thought that was appropriate. And then maybe this is a little card that they were giving out one Sunday. So, and it's a tuck spot too. I'm mostly just going to be putting in tuck spots and then sort of doing this and saying this book is ready to go, so that it can be someone else's prayer journal. Again, one of Mrs. Cratchit's scriptures that maybe again gave her comfort. A little envelope in the center. I saved even these envelopes as an embarrassing reminder of how crummy I am at trying to lace, tea dye with lace. Yes, that's how mine turn out. But because it's grungy and kind of pathetic looking, it's rather appropriate. So I just, that's my favorite way to close these kind of envelopes, and that way they're easy to open and close, and tuck a little note inside. What else have I done here? That came from Happy Mail from someone. It's a whole bunch of beautiful fabric, Christmas fabric. Anything else? This is old, that lace. Another one of her scriptures, and it's also a pocket, and then it's also sort of a tab here, and I put some of that lace that I found, Nancy found, and thank goodness she didn't want it. I was mentally saying, put down the lace, put down the lace, and she put down the lace, and I grabbed it. I tea dyed it, I coffee dyed it, and some of it was falling apart, but you know, we don't waste. Falling apart lace is perfect for this kind of journal. You want it falling apart. So there's a little locket here, and inside is picture of a baby, and that's actually one of Queen Victoria's either grandchildren or great-grandchildren, but we'll imagine that it's a Cratchit baby. And so that's in there. And I've been just going through, and where I feel like something needs to be put in. This was near the top of the other journaling tag that I made, and it says lessons proper for holy days. So I just saved it and glued it across the top there because I just thought it was pretty. And this side is from the actual text block, Christmas Day. So, of course, that's appropriate. And again, another one of these from 1904. So that would probably be a granddaughter would have put that one in there. Here's an interesting thing. When I was trying to come up with an address that perhaps maybe was where the Cratchits lived, I think with Google, I landed on not a mathematician, but a person who works in finances. And I'll have to look it up again in case you want to go take a look at it. It's kind of sad for us in our times because it mentions how much Bob Cratchit makes per year. And this person did the math, and it was from 2021 that he did the math. And as destitute as the Cratchits were considered, when he took into consideration over time how much money that would be in American dollars for 2021 at the time, because the page was older, it was still less than, it was more, pardon me, the Cratchits were, Bob Cratchit was making more than minimum wage in the United States. And I know our minimum wage is not very good either. At one point when I was a single mother working full-time as a hairstylist, wasn't that long ago, I was making $8 an hour. So when I say that hairstylists depend on their tips, they depend on their tips. It's one of the lowest paid, at least in Canada, lowest paid trades. And you have to be fully licensed. No different than a fully licensed electrician. They expect you to be licensed, and then you get paid minimum wage. Oh my goodness. If you're good at it though, you build up your clientele, and you have the time to do that, because it can take 2 years to build up a full book as a hairstylist. What's called a full book, so that you can't take any more clients. I did a little bit of gold inking there. So what else have I done here that might be of interest to you? I did this because there's one of these in my great-great-grandmother's Bible. And hers also had a fern, a dried out fern in it, which I can't do. I could only do it if this book goes to someone in Canada, because I can't send botanicals over the border. You can send seeds, but you can't send even dried ones over the border. But there was just a piece of paper from a funeral home, and then inside was an old piece of satin ribbon, and then there was a little card that just said Mother on it. So Nancy brought me some calling cards the other weekend when she was here. So I sort of inked it and aged it and put some Victorian scrap over the man's name. And then I wrote mother. So, and I'm not even sure which mother it would be that's in my... There were a lot of mothers that owned that Bible over the years. So I have a feeling it's for my great-grandmother, Annie Dorsey. She died young, and her oldest daughter, Myrtle. I think Myrtle did it for Annie Dorsey. That's what I think. But we'll never know until I meet her one day. I hopefully get to meet her. So what I worked on yesterday, like I said, was writing all these out by hand. So I'm going to have to find homes for them in there. Mostly going to, as I said, I'm mostly just going to be putting tuck spots in. I want to put some actual ephemera. This is actual, although that's faux. This side was going to crack and fall off. So I used some faux cellophane tape to sort of hold it together. And I thought that was rather appropriate. Looks like a widowed grandmother holding some grandchildren. I thought that was sweet. And then I think I want to put this in as a tuck spot somewhere. The resurrected Christ. This used to go in those machines and you look through it and it looks three-dimensional. So that's going to go in. And then I want to put in a pocket from a library catalog card. And then I also spent a lot of time yesterday making some faux cabinet cards. Here, you're going to love these. So again, I don't have access to oodles and oodles of cabinet cards. Nothing would give me more pleasure than to fill my journals with genuine cabinet cards. And every once in a while, I will do it. But usually what I will do is I've scanned my favorite ones and I will make faux cabinet cards. So that's what these are. These are scans that I have turned into cabinet cards. And if you look carefully here in this one, last year, was it last year? In one of my Dickens journals, this gentleman was in a special little photo case, and I imagined that it was Bob Cratchit, and that's still him. So it was in with some family photos. So I decided with this one, with the couple, I would keep and scan it, so that maybe that's Bob and Mrs Cratchit, and her name is never mentioned. So you'll see a lot of different movies and versions where they give her different names. Emily is used quite often. They imagine that her name was Emily. I like to imagine that it was Martha, since the oldest daughter's name is Martha. It seems to me that was sort of the tradition. But maybe they had an older daughter who passed away who was named Emily. So you just never know. Maybe her name was Catherine. Oh. Anyhow, so, and then I found this one, and maybe that was them later on in years that they were able, Mrs. Cratchit was able to put on a nice little bit of weight, and that they lived to a nice ripe old age. And then here, this picture, that's really what it looks like. I've still got ink under from the other day when you saw, if you follow me on Instagram, the ink that was all over my hands. It's a boy and a girl. So I wrote on the back, Peter and Belinda, as if that's who's in the picture. So somebody saved the picture of Peter and Belinda Cratchit. And then that one says Martha on it, and I made it look like whoever it was wrote Martha on it, and it could be journaled on the back. This one says Mother and Father, and then I just stamped the back the way. I don't have a stamp for photographers, and I know you can get them, or you can get you can buy digital kits, but I'm making use of what I've got. So, and I think that looks rather nice. So these will be finding their way into little tuck spots here or there. I kind of think I feel like putting this one also in the back. Now I have, I found an antique photo album, cabinet card, or carte de visite album years ago. And I've been slowly using the windows. Each page had 4 windows. So I'm starting to run out of windows, but I'm going to maybe put one in so that I can maybe fit, so it's a pocket, and fit them in behind. I'll zhuzh it up. Trust me, I'll be using either my gilding wax or my gold ink pad or my gold pens, and make this a little bit snazzier before we put it in the book. And yeah, so that's what I've got done so far. If you've got any questions, ask away down below. I'll be happy to answer as best I can. And when this is ready to go, which really, honestly, it is almost, I'm going to be just finding homes for all of these little things that I've been making, and then leave it be so that the new owner really can use it as a prayer journal and write their own favorite scriptures or Christmas memories, that sort of thing, in it. So at least that's my intention. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I hope I'm in the center here. I hope I haven't been off center the whole time. If you're still here after all that, it just means the world to me if you'll click like and say hi down below. And I'll say hi and good morning back at you. Even if it's not morning where you are, I'll usually say, if you say good morning, I'll say good morning. Take care and stay safe wherever you are. Bye.